Hey everyone, it's Matt and Steve from LRM Leasing. As you know, we get a ton of questions all the time, whether customers calling in or from our YouTube channel. We want to take the chance to answer some of those questions, and you never know, it may help you on the road. So Steve, here we go. Ronnie0033. Where can I find the front wire harness or the part number?
So usually on a truck, when you look for a part number on a harness, you want to go where the connection points are. Usually there's a white little tab and it'll have a part number on it. There may be some barcodes or some numbers you may not understand, but usually get your phone out, take a snap of it, and then take it to your local dealer and they'll tell you what wire harness that would be. And that's going to be pretty much on every truck that I can recall. Freightliners, Cascadias, Peterbilt's, Kenworth, Internationals. Right near the connection points, you're gonna look for, like I said, a little white tab, and it should have the part number on it.
Now, if that tab is rubbed off, or maybe they can't get to the harness, maybe it's behind the dash, I always like to recommend, go to your local dealer or call them and actually give them your VIN number, right? And tell them what you're looking for. They can actually pull up the schematic and identify that part, isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct. And also remember where you're trying to connect at those 2 points, because more information you can give your parts person, it's gonna be a little bit easier for them to find.
It's a great question. Shut Up and Color asks, I have a 2003 Freightliner Columbia that's overheating only with a heavy load. So it sounds like when he's not hauling something heavy, he's not overheating. What could it be?
So usually I've had a few of these problems, especially when I was in Colorado, is when they have a heavy load climbing a hill or on a straight pass. What you need to do is start thinking simple stuff. Make sure that the thermostats are opening up, make sure that the fan's kicking on, and then last but least, but sometimes, believe it or not, considering it's an older vehicle, there could be a lot of dust causing some restriction coming across the charge air cooler and the radiator. So those are the few things I would definitely check to verify that you have a good cooling system truck.
Good question. It's not always bad, right?
No,
it's not always a bad thing.
Simplest things.
More Cobra. I have the battery charge that is showing 0% charge. The truck runs and starts, no issues, but it's not reading the battery life. What's the deal?
All right, so I'm going to assume that we're talking about the gauge on the dash not reading proper voltage. This may take a little bit. If you know a little bit about multimeters, check to make sure you have proper voltage at the battery, the starter, and the alternator. Check those points. If they're pretty much reading the same, you may have a bad gauge on the instrument cluster. So I would definitely check the simple things, get a multimeter, and just check those points that you have 12 volts here, 12 volts at the starter, 12 volts at the alternator. And then if all those are reading good, there's a good chance that you just might have a bad gauge.
And for all those of you who are not familiar how to use a multimeter, we're actually going to be making a video, so keep an eye out for it, all right? When draining the water from a fuel system in a Freightliner Cascadia, Nelson Guerrero asks, do you need to shut the truck down before you do this?
So safety is always a big thing. You should always turn off a truck when you're trying to do anything for repairs unless you're trying to diagnose something. So I would turn off the truck for sure, start draining it, and now that you don't want to cause any certain issues, especially if the truck is running, priming, and cause damage to the high pressure fuel pump. So just turn it off. It's always safe, better safe than sorry.
Jonathan Keith, he's asking, is it possible to convert an automatic transmission to a manual transmission?
So the answer is yes. You can transfer anything from an auto to a manual to an auto. It's just going to be labor intensive, very pricey, programming. So there's a lot entailed, but yes, you can definitely convert those over.
That's a great answer, but why would someone actually want to convert it? Do you think that's a good idea? What would be some of the reasons that you can think of?
So the only reason I can think of, depending on the year of the truck, especially for the newer ones that have the automatic transmissions, so the automatic transmissions are definitely cost more. So if you want to take the big hit and convert it over to a manual, down the road, the manual transmission will be more cost effective than an automatic.
Is it fair to say we don't recommend it? Try to keep your truck the way it was built?
Well, I would say, it's your truck. You can do as you please. It's not going to hurt it one way or another. Again, it's just going to cost, everything costs money. So
and when you're going to spend that money, make sure you're going to someone who knows what they're doing and at least has the experience.
Make sure they have
Don't go for the cheapest job.
Correct.
Cheaper is not always better.
I'm pretty sure everybody's heard you get what you pay for.
There you go.
It's totally true.
There you go. Stacy Huckhill asks, my 2008 Kenworth T300 won't turn off with the key. What's the deal?
All right, so usually we'll find out that a signal is not turning it off from, sending a signal to the MCM or the ECM. So when it's not receiving that, it will keep the truck running or eventually shut off. So first few things I would probably check is, one, the actual ignition itself, make sure that it's working. This is going to be a little bit more in depth for a more professional mechanic. There's going to be a little bit more where they got to read the wire schematics and find out where that signal needs to be cut so the truck can turn off.
A lot of great questions. Probably we're going to finish up with this one before we drop a little something on you. Ravi Karanga says he has a 2021 Cascadia. He had no communication error before he changed the transmission. He got his truck out of the shop. Now there's a communication error. Is that a problem? What's going on?
And we've seen it here ourselves, where when we do something with a repair and it didn't have that problem. So sometimes, as a mechanic, including myself, is what causes that problem? Well, this is what we did. They changed the transmission. There could have been something silly as maybe the wire rubbed or has pinched, and now we lost communication. So that's where I would start. I would go back from where it all started. So if we put a new transmission in, I would check and make sure all the wires weren't pinched or got rubbed through, and that's where we're losing our communication. You want to just start from there, especially when you didn't have that problem before.
That's a great answer. I know what I would tell you guys, changing a transmission sounds like a very expensive job, and it probably is. Anytime, I don't care if it's just a little bit of money or a lot of money, when you go and pick up your truck, make sure you got what you paid for, right? Don't leave the shop if there's a communication error. Don't leave the shop if you just changed injectors and you're still getting codes for injectors. So don't just take the shop's word for it that it's fixed. Ask to take it for a test drive, verify, all those things. If you enjoy these tips, if they're helping you, there's so much more. Keep watching. Make sure you subscribe. More importantly, guys, we hooked up with a company called 7 Day Owner Operator. Amazing program. It's an online education portal that gives you the exact education that you need to succeed in trucking. Steve, I think you do an amazing module on there where you make really hands-on videos, way more in depth than obviously these Q&As, where you're actually going to show our viewers and students how to get in the truck, open up the dash, change this, change that, save money. Tips, tricks that you don't have to go to the dealership to do. On top of that, I know there's numerous videos about insurance, how to book freight. You're gonna have access to Steve to ask him personal questions that he's gonna respond. We have expert freight brokers on there who are teaching you how to maximize freight, how to negotiate the load boards. We have an in-house CPA who's giving you amazing tax advice. All these things can't be ignored, right? Can you go online and try to find these on other YouTube channels and articles? Good luck. We put it into one place with experts who know what they're talking about. Check it out, guys. 7 Day Owner Operator. And if you're serious about it, drop a comment below and we'll get you a coupon code for a discount. We'll see you on the next one.